It is me, Shrek Privacy, and today I will be doing a tier list on the Roblox event, The Classic. I finished the event 45 minutes before it ended, and after coming home, I decided to give the quest some ratings. I personally somewhat enjoyed the event, but I also have to say that the event was severely held down by the quests given out by some of the experiences. So without a further ado, I will get on to the tier list. Starting with Adopt Me, the quest for this game was to raise your pet teapot to adulthood. You get a token for every time the teapot ages up. Conceptually, the quest isn't really good due to the fact that it's time consuming. However, because it was my first quest, I wasn't too bothered by it. Finding the ticks was not really easy due to the size of the map. Based on my personal experience, I'd give it a D tier, but objectively, it's a F tier. Next we have A Dusty Trip. The quest for this game was to do a campaign where you drive 10,000 miles to fight 1x1x1x1 at the Roblox HQ. While you go through an obstacle every 2,000 miles, the quest was both conceptually and gameplay-wise peak, because it wasn't too hard nor was it too easy. The text locations were quite easy to find, although it's simply because I watched a guide on it before actually playing the quest. Regardless, the quest itself was fun and enjoyable, and the classic theme was heavily enforced here with fantastic homage, and because of this, it gets an S tier. After that, we have Arsenal. Like Dusty Trip, it's also a campaign. This time, you traverse through the map, killing noobs, guests, or any other enemies that gets in your way to go to the noob factory and explode 1x1x1x1 by pressing the red button. The quest is conceptually and gameplay-wise peak as well, and was fun and enjoyable to do if you weren't actively pursuing for any tokens. The tokens were achieved through interesting challenges which weren't very hard to do, but one of them was nerfed twice. Regardless, traversing through the map was honestly very fun and enjoyable, and for that, it gets an A tier. Now we got Bed Wars. I had a very negative experience with Bed Wars quest, and I've seen many people did so too. In the quest, you had to defend your bed from angry penguins for 10 waves along with other players. Conceptually, this is quite a good quest, but if you were to actually play the game, you'd know why I despise that shit. This shit was a full-on hellhole to do. Even in the early waves, the penguins were way too aggressive and OP. Their raids were too much, and because of that, it's difficult to get past the first few waves. The fact that you are more likely to play with other newbies too makes it even far worse. Because of this, it gets an F tier. Next we get Bee Swarm Simulator. For the quest, you had to survive 10 rounds defending your hive from slimes and zombies along with a maximum of 3 other players. The quest is quite good conceptually and gameplay wise, though it isn't really enjoyable to me personally. However, the quest was not hard at all. Granted, you and your team knew what you were doing and was quite fine. The classic aesthetics was very apparent and its atmosphere was very well enforced because it was built like classic game. Overall, this quest gets a B tier. On to Blade Ball. For the quest, you had to do 3 quests that were displayed to you to gain XP that would eventually grant you tokens. When you complete 3 quests, you get another list of 3 quests to do and gain XP from completing. One of these quests means collecting all the ticks. which may seem like it isn't hard. However, the ticks all spawn in different maps, and you have to vote for the maps in order to get to them, let alone the ticks. I personally do not like getting the ticks from this game due to the fact that it's RNG based. The map that has the ticks may not show up in the vote, and even if it does, players may choose not to vote for it, making it stressful to access the map, let alone get the ticks from it, and thus making it the worst game to get ticks from. Now, if we were to talk about other quests such as fighting 1x, 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 1x1 an amount of times, I'd personally say they were quite mid, especially because they're grindy too. Overall, I'd give these quests a D tier. For Clip It, you need to find 5 classic Roblox figures and video them. This may sound easy, but if you're doing this blind without a guide, you'd have a hard time because while 2 of the figures are in the classic maps, the other 3 are in the darkness maps, which is quite scummy because there isn't really any clue to their locations. This is also the case for the ticks locations too, as some of them were located in the darkness maps instead of the classic maps. I give this a C tier because the quest is not conceptually bad, just a bit poorly executed. Now on to Dragon Adventures. For the quest, you needed to find a certain amount of classic eggs in order to summon a meteorite, which would crash, being open for you to break and collect the token egg from which you then incubate. You also find 2 ticks eggs that is randomly generated. You do this for each 5 worlds, so basically the same thing 5 times. I did not really enjoy the quest because it was too long and grindy. The eggs are quite difficult to find, and the fact that there is a game pass sold to profit off of the solution to the problem is quite scummy. It is also the worst place to get ticks from, as there are only 2 ticks at a time, and the ticks eggs are RNG based. The overall quest is honestly boring. It gets a D tier. We then have Dress to Impress. For the quest, you first need to collect all 10 ticks to open a portal to an obby that contains the token. 7 of the ticks are located in the dressing room, while 3 of them are in the lobby. This is not a hard objective, but the fact that one of the ticks is hidden within the pillar in the dressing room, makes it quite scummy, as many players will not find it. However, once you collect all the ticks, you can get into the portal in the lobby, which then takes you to an obby where you traverse through it and collect the 5 tokens. The tokens are quite easy to not miss despite how small they are. The quest is a cakewalk, but is much better than the hellhole of Sped quest. For that, I give it a B tier for being so peaceful. We go on to Driving Empire, and I ain't fond of this quest at all, especially since it's way too grindy and tedious. For the quest, you needed to accumulate to 500 points to get all 5 tokens. There were 2 ways of doing this: doing taxi services for 3 points per task, or racing Builderman for 13 points. As you can see, these tasks are hardly rewarding at all and makes the quest extremely tedious, as it means racing Builderman over 40 times, as well as making the taxi service completely worthless. Also very scummy to make a game pass to double the points earned as a way to profit off of the solution to the problem. I rate this F tier, which is a shame because they captured the classic aesthetics good. We get to Gunfight Arena. For the quest, you first needed to collect all 10 ticks, which gives you the 5 classic weapons. With these classic weapons, you are to then get a certain amount of tags with each weapon. This is quite grindy, but at least it's not tedious. It's actually quite fun, especially by being Middle Eastern, by exploding yourself with a rocket launcher and bomb, and thus getting free kills from there. Even then, bots also spawn, so you could kill them for free tags. It is quite simple and may sound boring, but personally I enjoyed the fuck out of the quest. I give it a B tier. We then arrived to Livetopia. For the quest, you needed to collect items at a supermarket and order them and then deliver them via scooter. This sounds easy, but while it is, the fact that it's done 15 times makes it quite tedious. There was also no classic aesthetics within the quest, so why this quest was part of the event is beyond. For that, I give it an F tier. Okay, now Restaurant Tycoon. Holy shit, this game was fucking tedious. For the quest, you had to serve 150 customers. This was way too grindy and tedious for the fact that you also serve normal customers as well as having to manually collect cash while you do so. That way you couldn't stay AFK, otherwise the uncollected cash will build up. The fact that you needed a game pass to automatically collect cash makes it even worse. You have to spend hours trying to milk off of customers of a specific kind. Not even the quest for the hunt was this grindy for the game. 100 customers in general compared to 150 customers of a specific kind. Fucking FT. We then reached Toilet Tower Defense. For the quest, you had to do 5 tasks, beat easy difficulty, earn 200 coins, defeat 1,000 toilets, beat medium difficulty, and then finally defeat 1,000 toilets with classic cameraman. All done in the Crossroads map. This may seem like a lot, but if you're to see how it's laid out, it isn't very much. But apart from beating Crossroads at easy and medium difficulties, the rest of the objectives were quite grindy. The funny part about the difficulty ones is that you don't actually need to beat them because you can just play through it and then get the tokens for playing it. Though doing medium difficulty is definitely not suitable for beginners as it's recommended to have an Epic Plus tower, which I never had because I only played the game during the hunt and this event. It's also a grind to do the same shit of defeating 1,000 toilets with classic cameraman. I give this a D tier. Here we go with Tower Defense Simulator. For the quest, you needed to complete 5 classic textured maps. This quest was quite unexpectedly enjoyable and I'm proud of that. It's actually beginner friendly for the fact that your loadouts is made by the game instead of yourself, so you don't have to buy any towers for the game. The devs didn't put effort but rather improvised with pre-made maps. They still got credits for having an enjoyable quest. For that, they get an A tier. Last but not least, we have the Classic Hub. And my god, that hub is so beautiful, man. You don't know how fantastic it was. It was a perfect homage to classic Roblox, having reference of the Happy Home, Crossroads, Roblox HQ, etc. The quest within the hub was absolutely fantastic. So many things to say about it. While I did needed a guide to figure out what to do for some of the quests, the map was very enjoyable to explore and felt so damn fresh. Everything about that lobby was just, chef kiss. For that, it gets an S tier. So yeah, that concludes my title list. In conclusion, the event was not really that bad. It's definitely a far better improvement from the hunt. However, half the games were ass and severely let us down very much. And personally, if Roblox were to stop doing dev hunts and instead go for officially hosted experiences, we wouldn't really have that problem in the first place. And because of that, I give this event a 6 out of And for that, this concludes my title list.